Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
It's good to be back.
It is late January 2026, and the holidays are, well, they're officially in the rearview mirror.
Finally.
Finally. The decorations are down, or let's be honest, they're probably sitting in a pile in the garage.
Mine are. Waiting to go up into the attic for sure.
But we are past the chaos. We're all sort of waking up, shaking off the sugar coma, and, looking around at the year ahead.
And asking that big January question.
Exactly. Where are we going to live?
It really is the traditional season for taking stock, isn't it? The frenzy of December just shuts down, the bills start coming in, and people start looking at their own four walls with fresh eyes.
Or, in the case of our topic today, they start looking at the open pastures outside those walls.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. And for this deep dive, we have a very specific mission. We're not doing a big national overview.
No.
We're not looking at the generic housing market headlines you see everywhere. We're taking a granular, magnifying glass look at a very specific slice of Texas.
Parker County.
Parker County. We have a stack of data here, and I mean a literal stack of PDFs from the North Texas Real Estate Information Systems, alongside some market reports from Pete Realty.
A lot of data to get through.
A ton. And I have to say, right off the bat, looking at these numbers for the close of 2025, I'm scratching my head a little bit.
It's not the straightforward story you might expect.
It's absolutely not. It's a puzzle. Okay, look at this. We have sales volume in Parker County. It's actually going up.
More transactions.
Right. More people are buying houses than last year.
Yeah.
But the median price has dipped slightly.
Okay.
And here is the kicker: houses are sitting on the market for what feels like an eternity now.
It's a huge jump.
So we have this contradiction. People are buying, but it's taking longer to sell, and they're paying a little less.
Yeah.
So the question I want to put on the table today is this: is the boom over, or is the market just taking a very, very deep breath?
That is the multi-million-dollar question. Is this a pause or is this a pivot? And to answer that, I think we have to look beyond just the headlines. You mentioned our source material came via Pete Realty, and I think we need to talk about the source for a second before we dig into all the math.
Right. Our guide for this data is David Pete of Pete Realty. Now, I was looking at the bio that was included in the dossier, and honestly, I had to double check. I wasn't reading a Rancher's Almanac.
How do you mean?
Well, usually when we get these real estate bios, it's all about, top producer, chairman's club, lots of photos and suits.
Sure, the corporate stuff.
David's bio talks about raising British white cattle and caring for retired Tennessee Walker horses. And I have to ask, does it actually matter? I mean, it's charming, sure, but does knowing how to handle a horse actually help me buy a house?
I think in Parker County, it actually does matter.
Really?
And not just for the aesthetic, not just for the Texas flavoring, as you put it. When we talk about this specific market, we aren't just talking about cookie-cutter subdivisions where the biggest decision is, like, the color of the granite.
No, you're talking about land.
We are talking about land. We are talking about farm and ranch opportunities.
That's fair. If you're buying acreage, you probably want someone who knows what acreage actually entails.
Exactly. I mean, his bio mentions that his horses spent their riding years on the LBJ Grasslands Trail System. That signals someone who actually uses the land.
Okay.
He understands that desire to spread out a little, which, spoiler alert, is the primary driver for why people are moving to Parker County in the first place.
So it's a credibility thing. He's not just selling a product, he's selling a lifestyle he actually lives.
It's a boots-on-the-ground thing. The tagline for Pete Realty is, "Real estate made real easy." And the source material really emphasizes that these transactions have a lot of behind-the-scenes chaos.
I can only imagine.
So having someone who understands both the chaos of a complicated real estate deal and the chaos of raising cattle, well, that's a steady hand you probably want on the wheel.
You don't want a tourist selling you a ranch.
You absolutely do not.
Okay, I'll buy that. Real estate made real easy. I like the sound of it, especially when we look at this data, because easy is not the first word that comes to mind when I see these charts.
No, it's complex.
Let's unpack the Parker County macro view. We are looking at the fourth quarter of 2025. What's the headline number that really sets the stage?
Well, the headline number everyone looks for first is the median sales price. For Parker County, closing out 2025, that number sits at $455,000.
$455,000. Okay. Now, looking at the chart here, that red line is dipped.
It has. It represents a 2.8% decrease compared to the previous year.
Okay, play devil's advocate for me. I see a minus sign next to home values, and my instinct is to worry. Is this the bubble popping? Is this the beginning of the end?
No, and I think panic is exactly the wrong reaction here. You have to look at the context of that 2.8%.
Okay.
A drop of less than 3% is what we would call a softening, or maybe a correction. It's not a crash.
Not a crash.
And frankly, we need to zoom out. If you look at the historical chart provided in the report, go all the way back to the left side to January 2015.
Let me find that. Okay, January 2015, the median price was, wow, it was in the low $200,000 range.
Correct. So in roughly 10 years, we have gone from about $200 to $455K. That's more than doubling in value.
That is just massive appreciation.
It is massive. So when you zoom out, that little 2.8% dip looks very different.
Right, it's a blip.
It's not the market falling off a cliff. It's a market stabilizing after a decade of just sprinting uphill. It's giving back a tiny, tiny sliver of the gains.
So if you bought in 2018 or 2020 or even 2022, you're likely still sitting on a mountain of equity.
A huge mountain of equity.
That puts it in perspective. So we aren't falling, we're just settling.
We're just settling.
But here's the surprise I mentioned in the intro. So prices are down that 2.8%, but the volume of sales is up.
This is the fascinating divergence. Closed sales for the fourth quarter of 2025 were at 740.
Okay.
That is actually up 2.6% from the previous year.
Explain that to me. Because usually when prices drop, it's because demand has just dried up. But here, more people are actually buying.
It tells us that the demand is absolutely still there. People want to live in Parker County.
Okay.
They want that lifestyle we talked about with David Pete, the cattle, the horses, the space. The Texas dream isn't dead.
Not at all.
However, the type of buyer, or at least the mindset of the buyer, has changed.
No, so what's different?
The buyers who are showing up in late 2025, they're price sensitive. They are not the desperate buyers of 2022 who would pay absolutely anything just to get a key.
The bidding war days?
Those are over. These new buyers are negotiating, they're looking for value, they're willing to buy, but they are drawing a line in the sand on price. So you end up with more transactions happening, but at a slightly lower average price point.
It sounds like the buyers have woken up a bit. They're active, but they're not drunk on the frenzy anymore.
That's a great way to put it. They are sober buyers, and the inventory levels, they really back that up. We have 12,290 active listings in Parker County. That's up only 0.3%, so it's essentially flat year over year. But the month's supply is the key metric here. It's at 5.0 months.
Okay, we see month supply in these reports all the time, but let's break it down for the listener who isn't a realtor. What does 5.0 months actually mean in the real world?
Okay, think of it like a grocery store.
Okay.
Specifically, the milk aisle.
The milk aisle, right?
If the delivery trucks just stop coming today, no more milk delivery, how long would the current jugs on the shelf last before the shelves were totally bare?
Okay, I follow that.
Month supply is the exact same concept for houses. If no new for sale signs went up starting today, it would take 5 months to sell every single house that's currently on the market.
Got it. So why does 5.0 matter? Why is that the magic number?
Because it tells you who has the leverage in a negotiation. Anything under, say, 3 months is a strong seller's market. That's the grocery stores running out of milk scenario.
Right, panic buying.
Buyers panic, they bid up the price, they waive inspections, they do crazy things.
And we definitely lived through that.
We did. Now, 6 months is generally considered a balanced market. That's where buyers and sellers are on pretty much equal footing.
Okay.
So at 5.0 months, we are very, very close to that balanced center point. We might even be leaning slightly toward a buyer's market, depending on the specific neighborhood or price point.
So we have moved away from the shortages. The milk aisle is full.
The aisle is full. There are choices.
Yeah.
And when there are choices, buyers don't panic. They take their time.
And taking their time brings us to the next stat, which, honestly, this one blew my mind. We've been talking about days on market, or DOM. For Q4 2025, the days on market in Parker County is 93 days.
93.
That is 3 months.
It's a full quarter of the year.
Yeah, it feels like a lifetime. I mean, I remember hearing stories just a couple of years ago about houses being sold in a weekend.
Or sold before the sign hit the yard.
Exactly. And now you're telling me people are waiting 3 months?
And that's a 19.2% increase in waiting time compared to last year. It is a massive shift in the rhythm of the market.
I want to dig into this because 93 days, that has to be painful for a seller.
Oh, it's incredibly stressful.
That's 93 days of keeping the house spotless. 93 days of having to leave for showings. 93 days of just wondering, is it ever going to sell?
It is. And you have to wonder why. What is happening during those 3 months? Is the house just sitting vacant? Or are people looking and just walking away?
What do you think it is?
It's likely a combination of factors. Buyer fatigue is certainly part of it, but I think the biggest factor is a disconnect in expectations. We often call this the rearview mirror effect.
To the rearview mirror effect, the sellers are looking backward.
Exactly. You have sellers who are holding on to 2024 or even late 2023 pricing expectations. They remember what their neighbor's house sold for during the absolute peak,
Yeah.
and they think, well, my house is nicer, so I should get that price plus another 10%.
But the buyers are living in 2026. They're looking at today's reality.
Right. Buyers are looking at current interest rates, current inflation, and they are looking for deals. So the house gets listed at a yesterday price. It sits. 2 weeks go by, no offers. A month goes by, the seller starts to get nervous.
And then the price drops start.
Then they drop the price 10 grand. It still sits. And this little dance continues until the price finally meets the reality of the 2026 market. And that process, that slow, painful realization, takes about 93 days.
That sounds exhausting. And expensive.
It is. The carrying costs alone, your mortgage, your taxes, insurance, utilities, for 3 extra months can add up to thousands and thousands of dollars.
And that's before we even talk about the final sales price.
Exactly. Which brings us to the negotiation gap.
Right. The report lists the percent of original price received at 92.7%.
This is a critical number.
Break that down for us. So 92.7%. That means on average, sellers are accepting about 7.3% less than their original list price.
Correct. And that figure is down 2.0% from last year, so the gap is actually widening.
I want to pause here and do some math because 7.3% sounds like a small, abstract number. It sounds like a sales tax or something.
It's not small.
No. Let's make this painful. Let's put this in real dollars. If I list my house for $500,000,
Okay, let's run the numbers. $500,000 listing.
a 7.3% drop means I'm losing.
What?
What?
You are negotiating away roughly $36,500.
Wow.
You're closing at around $463,500 instead of your $500,000 asking price.
Ouch. That is not small change. That is a significant amount of money.
No. Think about what $36,000 represents. That's a new car. That's a big chunk of a college tuition. Or, in the context of moving, that might be your entire budget for movers, new furniture, and the closing costs on your next home.
Or a whole lot of fencing for those British white cattle we talked about earlier.
Exactly. It's real equity just evaporating.
Right.
Because the initial price was wrong or the negotiation wasn't handled well.
And this is where the strategy discussion becomes so critical. This connects right back to that Pete Realty value proposition.
Yeah, so this.
In a market where you have to wait 93 days and then negotiate a 7% haircut, you can't just stick a sign in the yard and hope for the best, can you?
The hope strategy is dead. It's over. In a market like this, the agent's role changes completely. In 2022, an agent was basically a traffic cop, just managing the stampede of buyers.
Right, just handling paperwork.
In 2026, with these numbers, the agent has to be a marketer, a therapist, and a ruthless negotiator.
The therapist.
Absolutely. Think about it. Managing a client's anxiety for 93 days, that takes skill. Keeping them from panic selling at day 60, that takes a professional.
Yeah, that's a lot of hand-holding.
A ton. And then when that offer finally comes in at 90% of asking, you need someone who can negotiate that up to 93% or 94%. That difference of 3 or 4% is tens of thousands of dollars in your pocket.
Real estate made real easy takes on a different meaning when the market itself is hard.
It does.
It means handling the hard stuff so the client doesn't have to.
Precisely. It's about navigating the friction.
Okay, let's zoom in. We've been looking at Parker County as this giant monolith. But real estate is intensely local, like street-by-street local.
For sure.
I want to look at some of the specific cities mentioned in the data, because there are some real anomalies here that I'm struggling to wrap my head around. Let's start with a county seat, Weatherford.
Weatherford is a fascinating case study right now. In December of 2025, they had 59 closed sales. That is up significantly from 40 sales in December of 2024.
Wait, sales went up that much in December? Who bought a house in December? I'm usually just trying to survive holiday shopping and travel. I'm not looking for a mortgage.
A busy December is a very, very strong indicator of underlying demand.
How so?
It means people were motivated enough to pack up and move during the holidays. It totally defies seasonality, and if you look at the price, you can see why. The average price in Weatherford was around $314,759.
That's actually really affordable.
Especially when you compare it to the county median of $455,000.
This is a huge difference.
Weatherford represents value. You're getting that Parker County lifestyle, the county seat amenities, the historic square. But At a price point that is $140,000 less than the county median.
That explains the volume. It's the affordability release valve for the whole county.
I think it is. And inventory is healthy there too, 153 active listings. So buyers have choices. But there's another layer to Weatherford that we shouldn't overlook.
And what's that?
The rental market.
Oh, right. The lease data in the report.
Yeah, there were 19 leases in December 2025 with an average price of about $2,034.
$2,000 a month for rent in Weatherford.
Yeah.
That seems pretty healthy.
It shows a robust ecosystem. It means there's a floor to the market, people need housing, and if they aren't buying, they are renting at a pretty solid clip.
And for investors, that has to be a good sign.
For investors, seeing a vibrant rental market at $2,000 a month is a green light. It validates the desirability of the area.
Okay, so Weatherford is the affordable hub. Now let's talk about Azle, because looking at the chart for Azle, I did a double take. I actually thought it was a typo.
It is a dramatic number.
Dramatic, it's a cliff dive. In December 2025, the average price in Azle dropped to roughly $308,000.
Yeah.
Compare that to about $394,000 the previous year. That is almost a $90,000 drop.
It jumps right off the page.
What happened? I mean, did the town burn down? Did a major employer leave? How does a market lose 25% of its value in a single year? That doesn't make any sense.
You have to be very, very careful with averages, especially in smaller sample sizes in real estate.
Okay.
It is highly unlikely that Azle actually lost 25% of its property value. If you own a house in Azle, your home didn't just lose $90K overnight.
So the data is lying.
The data isn't lying, but it can be misleading. It's likely a shift in the mix of what's selling.
The mix. Explain that.
Imagine two buckets. Bucket A has luxury ranch properties worth, say, $800,000. Bucket B has starter homes worth $250,000.
Got it.
If in 2024 you sold a bunch of stuff from Bucket A, your average price is going to be really high. But if in 2025 that luxury market freezes up and you only sell from Bucket B the starter homes, your average price plummets.
Ah, okay. But the value of the luxury homes didn't actually change. They just didn't sell that month.
Precisely. We're not seeing a crash in value. We are seeing a change in what is selling.
So what does that tell us about Azle's market?
The median price dropped to $304,000. What this suggests to me is that Azle is becoming the value destination for entry-level buyers.
The entry point.
It's the entry point. If you are a first-time buyer in 2026, finding a home in the low $300 is a massive win. That segment of the market is moving. The expensive stuff, it's probably sitting.
That makes a lot more sense than a sudden economic collapse.
It does. And for a young family that's priced out of Fort Worth, Azle is waving a big flag saying, look over here.
Now, looking at the map provided in the source material, we also see Aledo and Springtown popping up as part of this ecosystem.
These areas are critical to the Parker County appeal. This is where that spread out factor really comes into play.
This is the lifestyle part.
This is the lifestyle. If you go back to David Pete's bio-raising cattle, horses on the trail system that requires land, you aren't doing that in a condo in downtown Dallas.
Right.
Aledo and Springtown offer that acreage. They offer the ability to have a workshop, a barn, maybe some livestock.
It fits the whole narrative of the migration we're seeing. People aren't just moving for a house, they're moving for a lifestyle change.
Correct. And that lifestyle is specifically Texas-friendly, which brings us to a very specific and honestly kind of funny point in the source material.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, the pronunciation guide.
Yes, the Snakesis.
So I love that they included this. So in the instructions for the Pete Realty Playbook, there is a specific note about how to pronounce the acronym for the data source, NTRES.
Right. It stands for North Texas Real Estate Information Systems. It's the back-end database all the realtors use.
But if you try to say the letters on trees, you sound like a robot. Or worse, an outsider.
You do. And the note says it is pronounced NetRees.
NetRees. With the last syllable ending in a hiss like a snake.
Now, why does that matter? It seems so trivial. Why would we even include that in a deep dive?
But it's not trivial, is it?
It isn't at all. It is a shibboleth. Do you know that term?
That's like a password, right? Something that proves you're in the group.
Basically. It's a word or a custom that distinguishes the insiders from the outsiders. And in a tight-knit community like Parker County, or in the insular world of Texas real estate, these little signals matter immensely.
So if you walk into a negotiation with a local broker,
and you fumble the pronunciation of the MLS system,
you've just tipped your hand. You're a tourist. You're from out of town.
Exactly. You signal that you don't know the local culture. And in real estate, specifically in markets like this, which rely on trust and relationships, being an insider is everything.
So by pointing this out, David Pete is signaling, I speak the language, I know the acronyms, I know the trails. I am one of you.
Yes. And it connects back to that idea of the playbook. The source material we are reading is literally called the Parker County Real Estate Market Playbook.
A playbook implies a game plan.
It implies you can't just wing it. And the strategy for 2026, based on all this data, isn't speed. It isn't frantic bidding. It is precision.
Precision. I like that.
If the average days on market is 93, you have time to make a precise decision. If you are selling, you need a precise marketing plan to cut through that noise and stand out. You need that professional sales and marketing organization that Pete Realty talks about.
So that is the call to action logic. Why call David Pete first?
Because you need someone who knows how to say net risks, knows the difference between a quarter horse and a Tennessee Walker, and knows how to navigate a 93-day wait without losing your mind or your equity.
It is about having a guide who knows the terrain, literally and figuratively. Speaking of terrain, let's widen our lens. We've been deep in Parker County, but Parker doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's part of the massive North Texas complex.
It is.
So how does Parker compare to its neighbors? Let's start with the big one right next door, Tarrant County, Fort Worth.
Parker is essentially the escape from Tarrant. As Tarrant County fills up and becomes more and more urbanized, Parker acts as the relief valve. It's where you go when you want to be near Fort Worth. You still want to go to the rodeo or nice dinner, but not in the density of it.
Okay, so that's the relationship there. What about Dallas County? That's the heavy hitter.
This is a really stark contrast. In Dallas County, the median price is $357,000, which is actually down 1.7%.
Okay, so a similar price softening.
But look at the volume. Sales volume in Dallas County is down significantly. It's negative 6.2% year to date.
Oh, wow. So Dallas is actually shrinking in terms of activity.
It is contracting. Fewer deals are getting done. The market there feels sluggish. Now compare that to Parker County,
where sales are up 2.6%.
That is the story right there, isn't it?
It really is. Dallas is down 6%. Parker is up almost 3%. That shows the migration pattern so clearly.
It validates the whole trend. People are moving out. They are moving west. They are voting with their moving trucks, and they are choosing the spread out lifestyle over the urban core. The energy is shifting outward.
What about to the north? Collin County, Frisco, Plano, that whole area, that was the darling of the market for a long, long time.
Collin County took a hit, a big one. In the snapshot data we have, the median price in Collin County is down 11.2%.
Ouch. Double digits.
That is a significant correction.
Yeah, that's not a softening. That's a bruise.
It's a reality check. And it shows that this softening we talked about earlier isn't just a Parker County thing. It is happening everywhere.
Right.
But Parker County seems to be weathering the volume side of it much better than the others. A 2.8% drop in Parker is a lot less painful than an 11% drop in Collin.
It seems like Parker's in a Goldilocks zone.
Mm-hmm.
Not as expensive as the peak frenzy, but holding its value better than the superinflated northern suburbs.
It's holding its own. The prices might be adjusting, but the desire to be there is stronger than it is in Dallas or Collin, and that volume increase proves it.
So let's try to wrap this all up into some actionable takeaways for the listener, because we've thrown a lot of numbers at them. 455K, 93 days, 92.7%. What does this all mean for someone sitting in their car right now thinking about making a move in 2026?
If I had to summarize the state of the Parker County market in January 2026, I would say it is shifting from a seller's frenzy to a balanced, more deliberate market. It's growing up.
No more Wild West.
The Wild West days of 2021 and 2022 are gone. The key stats you need to remember are prices are a little softer, that 455K median, so buyers have a little relief, but demand is healthy, with sales actually up.
But patience is the name of the game.
Absolutely. This is the biggest takeaway for sellers. 93 days on market. You cannot list your house on a Friday and expect to be packing on Monday.
Not anymore.
You need to budget for 3 months of carrying costs. You need to be mentally prepared for your house to sit through an entire season.
And you have to get ready to negotiate.
92.7% of list price. That negotiation is back on the table. You are not just dictating terms anymore.
And if you're a buyer, this is really good news.
It's great news. It means you can ask for repairs, you can ask for closing costs, you can offer below asking price without being laughed out of the room.
This brings us right back to the Pete Realty value proposition. Real estate made real easy.
It is the perfect time for that philosophy. When the market gets tricky, that's when you need someone who makes it easy. You need a guide.
And David Pete's background.
His background, The 10-plus years of experience, the connection to the land, the cattle, the horses, it makes him the ideal guide for the learner profile we talk about. The person who really wants to understand the market, not just buy a box.
If you're looking to buy a home, a ranch, or just some land to put a few cows on in North Texas, you probably want to talk to the guy who actually owns cows. It just makes sense.
It helps to have someone who speaks the language.
Including how to pronounce Netrees correctly.
Especially that.
So here are the details if you want to reach out. It's Pete Realty. The phone number is 214-287-0009. That's 214-257-0009.
And you should check out the website, peakrealty.com. We mentioned these market reports, the PDFs with all the charts and the city-by-city breakdowns. Those are usually available in the market reports section of the site.
So if you're the type of person who likes to verify the data yourself,
If you want to see that ASIL chart with your own eyes, go download them.
and you can email David directly at david@peachrealty.com.
It's worth a conversation, even if you are just in the early stages of thinking about it.
Before we sign off, I want to leave the listener with one final thought. Inventory is holding steady at 5 months. Days on market are rising to 93. We're in this weird wait-and-see period.
The spring standoff.
That's what it feels like. Are we about to see a spring standoff in 2026 where sellers just refuse to drop prices further and buyers refuse to pay them and nothing happens? Or is there a ton of pent-up demand? Are there buyers just watching interest rates, sitting on the sidelines, waiting for the green light to break the dam?
And if that dam breaks, with inventory being just balanced and not oversupplied, we could see things heat up very, very quickly again. The market feels coiled right now. It could go either way.
It's a very delicate balance, and we'll definitely be watching it. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
My pleasure. Take care, everyone.
And in the spirit of our guide today, happy trails. We'll see you next time.